Welcome to Pod 4 Journal Club. Today, we're diving into a paper that, honestly, could fundamentally change the game for how we test and build advanced AI. It introduces a system that can basically create AI obstacle courses on demand, and the results, well, they're pretty mind-blowing. All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get into the huge problem that exists in AI testing right now. Then, we'll look at this new tool, ClawEnvKit, and how it plans to solve it. After that, we'll dig into the actual results, talk about the limitations, because that's important, and then wrap up with what this could all mean for the future of AI. So to really get this, we first need to understand the massive challenge that researchers are up against. As AI gets more and more capable, just figuring out if it's any good becomes this huge bottleneck, and that's exactly what this paper is taking on. I mean, really, think about this. This is the core question, isn't it? We're moving way beyond AI that just writes an email. We are building agents that can actually browse the web, organize your files, use different apps. So how on earth do you reliably test if they can do that stuff correctly? Right now, the way we do it is, well, it's painful. It's like having to build an incredibly complex custom obstacle course completely by hand for every single little test you want to run. Imagine a team of engineers spending hundreds of hours on just one test. It's slow, it's super expensive, and it just doesn't scale. And this slide really puts it into perspective. On the left, you've got the reality today, incredibly slow, crazy expensive, and rigid. Once a test is out there, it's basically frozen in time. What we need is what's on the right, something fast, cheap, and totally adaptable. And that's the huge gap this paper is trying to bridge. And this visual just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly shows that shift we're talking about. We're trying to get away from this world where people are painstakingly crafting every little detail and move to a world where an automated pipeline can just spit out thousands of different tests. It lets us evaluate AI on a scale that was just impossible before. Okay, so the paper uses this specific term, a claw-like agent. And this is a really key idea. This is not just a chatbot. Think of an AI that can actually do things on a computer. Sort your emails, manage your project files, or pull data from a spreadsheet. These are the kinds of powerful new agents we need to be able to test. So how do we get there? How do we solve this massive problem? Well, this brings us to the hero of our story, ClawEnvKit. It's an automated pipeline built specifically to smash through that manual bottleneck. So at its core, what is ClawEnvKit? You can think of it as a machine that builds those obstacle courses for AIs. All you have to do is give it a simple description in plain English, something like, create a task where the AI has to organize project files into folders, and it automatically generates a complete, validated test environment from that. It works in this really smart three-stage process. First, the parser takes your English request and makes sense of it. Then, the generator actually builds the environment, the task, the tools the AI can use, and how it's going to be graded. And finally, and this is so important, the validator comes in and double-checks everything to make sure the test is fair, consistent, and actually solvable. And the real secret sauce here is this simple, formal structure. The system breaks everything down into just 3 parts. P for the problem specification, what does the AI have to do? M for the interface, what tools can it use? And C for the evaluation criteria, how do we know if it's succeeded? By focusing on the what instead of the how, it allows the whole process to be automated. It's pretty elegant. Okay, so this all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But does it actually work? I mean, are these automatically generated tests actually any good compared to the ones made by humans? Let's get into the data because the results are, well, they're frankly pretty incredible. This is the big one. This is the headline. When they had another AI judge the quality, the environments made by ClawEnvKit weren't just as good as the human-written ones. They were actually rated as more coherent and clearer. Let that sink in. The machine actually did a better job of designing the test than the humans did. And then you see this number, and your jaw just kind of hits the floor. The efficiency gain is staggering. It is 13,800 times cheaper to generate these tests with ClawEnvKit than to do it by hand. This doesn't just save a bit of money. It unlocks a scale of testing that we could only have dreamed of before. Being able to test at this new, massive scale also led to other cool discoveries. For example, they found that how you connect the AI model to its tools, what they call harness engineering, makes a huge difference. Getting that connection right can boost the AI's performance by over 15%. That's a finding you'd likely never uncover with a small set of manual tests. And crucially, the tests are hard enough. The very best AI agents today are only passing them about 76% of the time. Now, this is actually great news because it means the benchmark isn't saturated. There's still plenty of room for these models to improve, and we'll be able to measure that progress. Now, good science always acknowledges its limits, and the authors here are very clear that ClawEnvKit isn't some magic bullet that solves everything. It's one really powerful tool in what needs to be a much larger toolkit. You really have to think of these automated evaluations as the first line of defense. They're perfect for catching regressions before you ship new code, but they can't replace everything. You have to pair them with monitoring how the AI actually performs in the real world, and most importantly, with real human oversight and user feedback. And they use this brilliant analogy to illustrate the concept. It's like the Swiss cheese model from safety engineering. Every single evaluation method has holes in it, right? It has weaknesses. But when you layer them all together, automated tests, user feedback, human review, you create this really robust system that catches almost every potential failure. But this is where it gets really, really exciting for me. Because beyond just making testing cheaper and faster, this technology points to a fundamental shift in how we even think about AI evaluation. This is the paradigm shift. So forget about these static benchmarks that are published once and then slowly become obsolete. Instead, imagine being a developer and you want to test some super specific niche workflow. You can just describe it in a sentence, and ClawEnvKit will build and verify a custom test for you, right there on the spot. It's live evaluation. And this quote from the paper just perfectly captures the whole idea. Automation does not merely make evaluation cheaper, it makes evaluation alive. It's no longer the static snapshot. It's a living, breathing process that can adapt and evolve right alongside the AIs that it's supposed to be measuring. And that leaves us with this really powerful final question to chew on. When all the friction of creating really good, robust tests just disappears, what new kinds of AI agents are we going to be able to build? How much faster can we innovate when we can evaluate a new idea in minutes instead of months? This tech doesn't just improve testing, it speeds up the entire AI development cycle. And that's our look at the ClawEnvKit paper. I really hope you enjoyed this breakdown. If you want to stay on the cutting edge and get more deep dives into the research that is literally shaping our future, make sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.